Life at its core is remarkably simple, yet somehow many of us manage to turn that simplicity into a maze of confusion and struggle. The truth is, life offers us straightforward principles to follow. Eat well, move your body, invest in learning, nurture relationships, work diligently, rest appropriately, and save wisely. These are the building blocks of a fulfilling existence. But despite their simplicity, they often get lost in the noise of overthinking and unnecessary complication. We take a beautifully clear blueprint and muddle it with doubt, fear, and distraction. Why does this happen? One reason is that simplicity can feel too basic to be effective. We live in a culture that glorifies complexity and hustle, as if the harder the process, the more worthy the result. But wisdom isn't found in complexity, it's found in clarity. If you think about it, every great achievement, every meaningful life starts with a simple foundation. A tiny seed planted in fertile soil, watered consistently. It's not about some complicated formula or secret shortcut. It's about sticking to the basics, day in and day out. Yet our minds have a way of convincing us that simple means easy, and easy means unworthy. So we chase after complicated plans, elaborate strategies, or flashy shortcuts that promise quick success. We get caught up in the whirlwind of doing too much, learning too many things at once, or trying to fix every part of our lives simultaneously. And instead of progress, what we get is overwhelm. Instead of clarity, confusion. Instead of peace, stress. Here's the irony. The more we complicate life, the harder it becomes. When you pile unnecessary tasks, thoughts, and worries on top of your natural challenges, you drain your energy and scatter your focus. You start missing the forest for the trees. The very thing that was meant to guide you, simple habits and principles, gets buried under a mountain of clutter. To get back to the ease life offers, you have to step back and reassess. Ask yourself, am I overcomplicating this? Are you trying to do too many things at once? Are you chasing perfection instead of progress? Are you ignoring the basic truths in favor of something flashy and new? Recognizing this is the first step towards simplifying your approach and embracing what really works. Simplicity also brings freedom. When you trust in simple, proven actions, you don't waste time second-guessing or doubting yourself. You don't get stuck trying to figure out the perfect path because you know the fundamentals will carry you through. You become less reactive to distractions, more focused on what matters most, and with that focus comes confidence. The confidence that your daily efforts, though modest and sometimes unremarkable, are compounding over time into something extraordinary. Moreover, simple living invites patience. It reminds us that great things aren't built overnight, but through steady, small steps taken consistently. This is the opposite of the instant gratification mindset that plagues so many people today. When you embrace simplicity, you understand that slow and steady wins the race. You learn to appreciate the process, the journey, and the incremental progress, rather than obsessing over a distant destination. Life's simplicity is like a compass pointing you toward peace and success, but only if you choose to follow it. When you honor simplicity by focusing on a few key disciplines and repeating them daily, you unlock the door to ease and fulfillment. The hard part isn't life itself, it's convincing yourself to stop making it so hard. Remember, the challenge isn't that life is complicated, but that we choose to complicate it. By returning to simplicity, you reclaim your power, reduce your stress, and open the path to a life that's not only easier, but richer in every way. Consistency in simple positive habits is the cornerstone of lasting success, yet it's often underestimated or overlooked. We live in a world that celebrates big wins, dramatic transformations, and overnight success stories, but the reality behind those success stories is rarely sudden or accidental. It's built on the steady repetition of small good choices made day after day. This is where consistency shows its power because success is not a single event but a process. Think about a farmer planting seeds. The farmer doesn't expect a harvest the moment the seed hits the soil. Instead, they nurture it daily, watering, weeding, protecting. Over time, the seed grows roots, sprouts, and eventually produces a crop. The harvest is the natural result of patient, consistent care. In the same way, your goals, dreams, and character grow from the seeds of daily habits. You don't have to overhaul your life in one day. You just need to commit to the right actions regularly. Consistency also trains your mind and body to respond automatically. When you make a habit of doing something positive every day, whether it's reading, exercising, saving money, or practicing gratitude, it becomes part of who you are. The habit starts to run beneath your awareness, requiring less willpower and effort over time. This is why consistency is sometimes called the compound interest of personal development. The effects multiply quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. The challenge is that consistency demands patience and faith. It doesn't produce instant results, and that's where many people stumble. They start strong, but when the quick payoff doesn't come, they get discouraged and quit. Or they try to do too much too soon, burning out and losing momentum. The secret is to keep your focus on the process, not just the outcome. Every day you choose to show up, you're winning. Every day you practice discipline, you're building momentum. Consistency also builds credibility, both with yourself and others. When you follow through day after day, you reinforce the belief that you can count on yourself. This self-trust is foundational to confidence and resilience. It's what keeps you going when the going gets tough. Likewise, others begin to see you as reliable and committed, opening doors and opportunities that wouldn't appear otherwise. Another important aspect is that consistency simplifies decision-making. When you have established routines, you reduce the mental energy spent on figuring out what to do next. You create a framework that guides your actions, removing the chaos of indecision. This frees your mind to focus on bigger challenges and opportunities. Think of it like a well-tuned machine running smoothly rather than a car stuck in neutral, revving without moving. And here's the beautiful part. Consistency doesn't require perfection. It's not about never missing a day or never slipping up. It's about returning to the path quickly when you do. Life will throw curveballs and you will falter. But what matters most is your ability to get back on track and keep moving forward. This resilience is cultivated through consistent effort and a long-term mindset. Lastly, consistent habits create momentum that fuels motivation. While motivation can be fleeting, momentum builds over time. The more you stick to your habits, the easier it becomes to continue. Like a snowball rolling down a hill, it gathers size and speed. This momentum not only propels you toward your goals, but also reinforces your identity as someone who gets things done, someone who doesn't quit. So the secret to lasting success is not in dramatic bursts of effort, but in the steady, consistent application of simple, positive habits. These habits, practiced daily, compound over weeks, months, and years, creating results far beyond what any single effort could achieve. And that's the kind of success that lasts. People often fall into the trap of avoiding small, consistent disciplines because they chase after dramatic, quick fixes. It's human nature to want fast results, to desire instant gratification, and to believe that success should come in leaps and bounds rather than steps. This mindset leads many to overlook the power of steady, incremental progress. Instead of committing to manageable daily habits, they look for shortcuts, hacks, or magical solutions that promise rapid transformation with minimal effort. The problem is, these shortcuts rarely deliver lasting success. When you chase after dramatic results without embracing the small disciplines, you're essentially trying to build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation. Quick fixes may give you a brief spike of motivation or success, but without the underlying habits to support them, those gains fade quickly. It's like trying to sprint a marathon. You may have a burst of speed at the start, but you won't finish the race unless you pace yourself and build endurance. Small disciplines are the unseen work behind every achievement. They might not be glamorous or exciting, but they're consistent. These are the things like showing up on time, completing your daily tasks, making healthy food choices, reading a few pages every day, saving a little money regularly, or practicing your skills consistently. These simple actions accumulate over time, and their impact compounds in ways that quick wins never can. Avoiding small disciplines also often stems from fear of failure, fear of discomfort, or fear of being ordinary. The small daily disciplines require commitment and humility. They require accepting that progress is often slow and invisible at first. Many people want to skip the boring parts of growth and jump straight to the exciting celebratory moments. But real growth happens in the quiet, repetitive actions that go unnoticed by most. Another reason people avoid these small disciplines is that they underestimate their power. They don't realize that success isn't about massive efforts, but about consistent, meaningful actions done well. They don't see how a single habit, when practiced daily, can change their trajectory completely. For example, reading just 10 pages a day might seem insignificant, but over a year, that's tens of books worth of knowledge and wisdom. Saving a small percentage of your income regularly might seem minor, but over time it builds financial security and opportunities. The pursuit of dramatic results can also create unrealistic expectations. When people expect instant transformation, they set themselves up for disappointment. When the quick fix doesn't work or the dramatic change takes longer than anticipated, they lose motivation and quit. This cycle of high hopes and letdowns leads to frustration and a belief that success is unattainable. Embracing small disciplines means shifting your perspective. It means valuing process over results and understanding that greatness is built over time. It requires patience and a long-term vision. You learn to appreciate the daily grind, knowing that each small effort is a building block toward your goals. It also requires discipline to resist distractions and stay focused on what matters. When you commit to small disciplines, you're training yourself to be reliable and accountable. You build momentum that carries you forward, even when motivation wanes. Over time, these small wins build your confidence and prove that consistent effort beats sporadic bursts every time. Ultimately, avoiding small disciplines in favor of chasing dramatic results is a shortcut to frustration. The real shortcut to success is to embrace the small, simple, daily habits that create sustainable progress. When you make these disciplines part of your life, you're no longer at the mercy of fleeting motivation or luck. You're in control of your destiny. And that's where true, lasting success is born. Taking responsibility and making disciplined choices can feel like the hardest path, yet paradoxically, it is the path that makes life easier over time. When you look around at the challenges people face, many of them come down to one thing: a refusal to own their circumstances and the choices that lead them there. It's easy to blame others, to point fingers at the economy, the government, or bad luck, but that's a short-term escape, not a long-term solution. True freedom and ease in life come when you decide to take full responsibility for your actions, your mindset, and your outcomes. Responsibility is a form of power. When you accept responsibility, you acknowledge that you have control over your life, over your thoughts, your habits, your reactions. This mindset shifts you from being a victim of circumstance to being a creator of your future. It's a change in perspective that transforms struggle into opportunity. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you start asking, what can I learn? What can I do differently? How can I improve? But responsibility requires discipline. It demands that you show up, do the work, and make choices that align with your goals, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without discipline, even the best intentions fall short. The choice to be disciplined is the choice to prioritize long-term success over short-term pleasure. It's about delayed gratification and the willingness to put in consistent effort even when motivation wanes. The remarkable thing is that the harder choice to be responsible and disciplined ultimately makes life easier in the long run. When you consistently make wise decisions, whether it's managing your finances carefully, investing in your health, or nurturing your relationships, you build a foundation that supports you through challenges. On the other hand, avoiding responsibility or discipline may provide temporary relief or pleasure, but it creates complications down the road: debt, poor health, broken trust. This principle also applies to your mindset. Taking responsibility means owning your thoughts and emotions. You recognize that while you may not control every situation, you control how you respond. Choosing a positive, proactive mindset in the face of adversity isn't always easy, but it's a disciplined habit that pays enormous dividends. It prevents you from being derailed by setbacks and keeps you focused on solutions rather than problems. When you make disciplined choices, you start to see life differently. The obstacles that once seemed overwhelming become manageable challenges. The chaos becomes order. This shift happens because discipline builds structure and predictability. Instead of reacting impulsively or being tossed around by circumstances, you create routines and habits that guide your behavior. You develop a sense of mastery over your day, your work, and your relationships. Accountability is another part of responsibility. When you hold yourself accountable, you don't make excuses or rationalize failures. You learn from mistakes and adjust your course. This humility and willingness to grow are essential for long-term success. It also builds trust and respect from others because people see that you are reliable and committed. Of course, this path isn't always easy. It requires courage to face your own shortcomings and to make the tough decisions. It requires persistence when things don't go as planned. But the alternative, avoiding responsibility and discipline, leads to frustration, regret, and a sense of powerlessness. It's a heavy price to pay for the illusion of ease. In reality, choosing responsibility and discipline lightens your load. It frees you from the burden of blame and self-pity. It gives you control over your future and the ability to create a life of purpose and peace. The discipline you build today becomes the ease you experience tomorrow. Life isn't easy because it's complicated. It's complicated because we avoid taking responsibility and making disciplined choices. When you embrace them, life simplifies and success becomes inevitable. Blaming and complaining are two of the easiest habits to fall into, yet they are some of the most destructive behaviors when it comes to personal growth and success. They provide a temporary release, a way to vent frustration and shift responsibility, but in reality they accomplish very little except to keep you stuck where you are. Complaining about circumstances or blaming others for your situation might feel justified, but these actions only serve to drain your energy and focus away from the things you can control. When you blame someone else or complain about your situation, you give away your power. You're effectively saying that your happiness and success depend on factors outside of yourself. This mindset leads to helplessness and passivity. Instead of taking action, you become caught up in the story of why things aren't working, which keeps you tied to a victim mentality. It's important to recognize that the moment you start blaming, you stop learning, you stop growing. Complaining is often a habit formed over years, sometimes learned from the people around us or from repeated disappointments. It feels good momentarily because it allows you to express your feelings and frustrations, but it doesn't solve problems. In fact, it tends to attract more negativity. When you focus your attention on what's wrong, you train your mind to find more of the same. This creates a downward spiral of discouragement that makes it harder to see opportunities or take positive steps forward. Blaming others is just as harmful. It damages relationships, builds resentment, and isolates you from the support you might otherwise receive. When you blame, you put up walls between yourself and those who could help or understand. It also prevents you from taking a hard look at your own role in your challenges. Personal responsibility means examining your own choices and behaviors honestly, and that's where real change begins. The antidote to blaming and complaining is gratitude and proactive problem solving. When you cultivate gratitude, you shift your perspective from what's missing or wrong to what's present and right in your life. Gratitude rewires your brain to focus on abundance instead of lack. This shift is powerful because it opens your mind to possibilities instead of obstacles. It also improves your emotional resilience, making you less likely to be derailed by setbacks. Proactive problem solving means taking ownership of your circumstances. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I do about this?" It's a mindset of empowerment rather than defeat. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means facing reality with a solution-oriented attitude. When you focus on what's within your control, you regain momentum and begin to create the changes you want. Another important aspect is recognizing the impact your words have on your reality. Complaining out loud reinforces negative thinking both in your mind and in the minds of those around you. It can create a toxic environment that saps motivation and enthusiasm. On the other hand, speaking about your challenges in a constructive way, looking for lessons and solutions, builds a positive culture around you. Your words shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your results. It's also vital to surround yourself with people who model responsibility and positivity. Environment plays a significant role in breaking the habits of blame and complaint. When you spend time with those who take ownership of their lives and approach problems with determination, you absorb that mindset. Conversely, spending time with chronic complainers will pull you into that same negative cycle. Breaking free from the habit of blaming and complaining requires conscious effort and self-awareness. It means catching yourself when you start to fall into those patterns and choosing a different response. It means developing the discipline to redirect your thoughts toward gratitude and solutions. Over time, this shift rewires your brain and transforms your outlook. In the end, blaming and complaining are roadblocks on the path to success. They keep you stuck in place when you could be moving forward. By letting go of these habits and embracing responsibility, gratitude, and proactive action, you open the door to growth, happiness, and achievement. It's a choice that every successful person makes daily. When you do the same, you empower yourself to break free from limitations and create the life you truly want. Self-awareness is the foundation of mastering your life and your results. Without it, you wander through your days on autopilot, reacting to circumstances instead of intentionally shaping them. Becoming self-aware means paying close attention to your thoughts, emotions, habits, and choices. It's like holding up a mirror to your inner world and seeing clearly what's working and what's holding you back. This clarity is the first step toward meaningful change. When you develop self-awareness, you begin to understand the patterns that govern your behavior. You recognize which thoughts lead to positive action and which thoughts sabotage your progress. You start to see how your emotions influence your decisions and how your habits shape your daily experience. This understanding gives you the power to intervene, to pause before reacting, and to choose a different, more productive response. Self-awareness also reveals your strengths and weaknesses. Many people focus only on their weaknesses, either beating themselves up or ignoring them altogether. But true self-awareness balances this by also acknowledging your strengths so you can leverage them to overcome challenges. When you know your unique gifts, you gain confidence and clarity about where to focus your energy for the greatest impact. Another important aspect is being honest with yourself. It's easy to fool yourself with excuses or wishful thinking. Self-awareness requires courage to face the truth without judgment. This kind of honesty isn't about self-criticism, but about clear-eyed assessment. It's recognizing where you fell short without shame and celebrating where you succeeded without arrogance. The process of developing self-awareness often begins with reflection. Taking time each day to review your actions, your feelings, and your results can uncover valuable insights. Journaling, meditation, or simply sitting quietly can help you connect with your inner thoughts and feelings. Over time, this practice sharpens your ability to observe yourself without getting caught up in stories or justifications. Self-awareness also enhances your emotional intelligence. When you understand your own emotions, you're better equipped to manage them and to understand the emotions of others. This leads to improved relationships and communication, which are essential for personal and professional success. People naturally gravitate toward those who are emotionally aware because they feel understood and respected. One of the greatest benefits of self-awareness is that it fosters intentionality. When you're aware of your thoughts and actions, you can align them deliberately with your goals and values. Instead of drifting through life reacting to whatever comes your way, you become proactive, making choices that move you closer to the life you want. This shift from reaction to intention is a game changer. Self-awareness also helps you break negative cycles. When you notice recurring behaviors or thoughts that don't serve you, you can interrupt them before they spiral. This prevents self-sabotage and frees you to build new empowering habits. It's a constant feedback loop that keeps you growing and improving. Moreover, self-awareness builds resilience. When you know yourself well, setbacks don't knock you off course as easily. You understand that failure is part of growth and that your worth isn't defined by any single outcome. This perspective allows you to bounce back quickly and keep moving forward with confidence. Developing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, but it's one of the most rewarding investments you can make. It deepens your connection with yourself and enhances every area of your life. The more you know yourself, the more you can master your mind, your habits, and your destiny. By cultivating self-awareness, you step into your power as the architect of your life. You stop being a passenger and become the driver. Every decision becomes more conscious, every action more aligned, and every moment more meaningful. This mastery over your inner world ultimately leads to mastery over your outer world, creating a life of purpose, peace, and success. When you weave self-awareness into the fabric of your daily life, you unlock a level of personal mastery that transforms your journey. It's the compass that guides you through uncertainty, the tool that sharpens your focus, and the foundation upon which all success is built. Remember, the road to greatness begins not with external achievements, but with an honest understanding of who you are and the deliberate choices you make. Master your mind, know yourself deeply, and watch how every challenge becomes an opportunity, every setback a lesson, and every day a step closer to the life you envision.